Hello and welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Lee, and this week I want to talk about the inevitable New Year's resolutions and how to keep to them. So every year I seem to make a similar video about my New Year's resolutions for the coming year. And to be honest, this year isn't really going to be very much different. It's something many of us do at this time of year, and I do think it's a good way of focusing on goals that you want to achieve, something tangible that you can tick off at the end of the year and say I've achieved. That is, of course, if we can keep these pesky resolutions, because they are notoriously hard. Such promises to ourselves are not for everyone, of course, and many that are made aren't kept. But I do think that's because resolutions should challenge us but not be too grandiose and difficult to achieve. I prefer to treat them as a sort of a mission statement for the coming year. They should, of course, be ambitious, but must also be realistic and above all achievable, because otherwise you're just leading yourself down a route that will only lead to failure. I mean, I'll only set myself a resolution if I think I've got at least a 50% chance of achieving it. It should stretch me, but it should also just be within my grasp. Now, my New Year's resolutions are going to be broadly similar to last year, not because I didn't achieve them, but because I did. I want some more of that success in 2024. So here are my 3 resolutions from last year and what I have achieved and what I want to do for 2024. So paint more minis was one of my resolutions. I always end up setting myself this target. Many of us seem to say similar things, of course, at this time of year, and it certainly seems to be a common theme in many of the January blog posts I'll be reading. Of course, it's a very laudable goal, but while I always set this as a target, I don't really measure the success at the end of the December of the following year. I'm less worried about actually getting more minis painted than I am about completing set goals and projects, keeping the production line flowing all year round. Now, if I can end the year broadly on par with the previous year, and if my projects are being completed on time, then that's a good thing, and I count it as a resolution kept. If you've set paint more miniatures as one of your goals to 2023 and you worry you can't achieve it, check out my video on clearing the lead mountain. Now, I have to admit that I'm likely to fail at this particular measure for the coming year, because last year I set myself the target of paint more minis and I painted a huge amount of models, both sides for the Wars of the Roses for Bosworth, and they ended up as 2 huge armies in 6mm. I'm not going to be doing anything like that volume of painting in the painting challenge this year. So, at the end of 2024 I won't have painted as many miniatures as I did in 2023. However, I do have some projects in mind for the coming year that I'm hoping that I can come to a conclusion by the end of the year. As I've mentioned before, my painting challenge target is to finish off lots of bits from previous projects that have sort of just got left, and I just want to finish them off and get those models out of the lead pile. But I've got a couple of other little projects that I'm giving some early thought to for later in the year, and when I start those I'm going to try and make sure that I do stick to my targets and get those done before the year is out. So although I might not paint more miniatures than I did last year, I'm hoping that I am going to be as successful in setting myself clear targets and sticking to them. Now, another target that I always end up setting myself is play more games. Again, a common resolution that you see in blog posts and online year after year. It's also one that often crops up on Wargamer forums and so on, and social media. Unlike with the Paint More Minis goal, this one does get measured. For many years now I've kept a battle log, a spreadsheet listing all the war games I've played, their outcome, and several other metrics like what rules we've used and who's umpired and all that sort of thing. 2023 was a very good year, both in terms of the number of games played and the quality of their outcomes. In short, I won more than I lost by a considerable margin, making last year one of my most successful years to date. So for 2024 I want to recycle that resolution in the hope of repeating the success of the previous year. One of the things I want to do more of this year is to play more solo games. I did a lot in 2022 and I didn't really get time to do as many in this year, 2023. So I want to make more of an effort to do that. It's just a matter of making time in the schedule, being able to clear the desk of all my normal work stuff and all the other things that tend to build up on my work table in front of me, so that I can use it for gaming on. So I do want to play more solo games, and I have again, referring back to my painting, I have a particular project in mind that isn't going to be huge and will hopefully take up less table space, and means I'm more likely to get it out and play a quick game. Now, my third and final resolution, again one that I did last year, is to work harder to continue developing the channel. I'm ending the year on a really good number of subscribers. I'm hoping I'm going to hit 3,000 subscribers in the next couple of months, and I'm constantly amazed that my channel seems to have attracted so many people who want to come back and watch my videos. So, thank you very much to everyone who has. I definitely want to do. Last year I set myself a target of doing more battle reports, and I found it really hard to do because they take so much effort. You've got to set up and run a game and video it, and actually there isn't a lot of room in here. Indeed, I've played a game this week, which I'll come back to in a minute, and I decided not to video it simply because I just couldn't swing a cat in here. I had loads of stuff in here because of the Christmas, and it just wasn't room. So in the end I just took some photographs and I've done a blog post, which should have been out by now. I'll try and put a link in the description box below. But I do want to continue to develop the channel and do more interesting videos about shows that I've been to. I want to do some more book reports. I want to liven up the format for the channel. It seems that the changes that I made to the way that I put together my blog posts and my video posts and my weekly talking point videos seems to have worked well, seems to have been very, very popular. I did a poll earlier in the year where overwhelmingly 2/3 of recipients were very positive in what they said about the changes that I'd made, so I'm really happy with that, and I want to continue to develop that. But more importantly, I'm going to concentrate on trying to build the channel by making links to other channels. So looking at the content that other people have produced, doing more response type videos because they seem to be quite popular, and making those connections and learning from other people, because I'm very much a believer in learning from the best. So I'll be speaking to lots of other vloggers as the year goes by and trying to learn a lot from what they've learned, and see if they can pass on any wisdom about how to develop a channel like this, which is very much a conversation type channel, where I will do my weekly video, and it's all about having a conversation with people, which is very different to the format for other channels. But that's my niche. I've decided that's the way I wanted to do the channel, and I want to continue to develop that. If I can do more battle reports, I will try to. I'm gonna again, another promise that I set myself last year and I didn't quite achieve. I wanted to do some battle reports from within the Rejects Shed of War. I did one video as a short, but I want to do a longer video where you get to meet the Rejects and so on. So that's a project perhaps for later in the summer when things have calmed down at work and so on, and I'm going to try and do that as one of my projects for the year. So how to keep to those resolutions? Well, as I mentioned earlier, having very clear goals as to what you want to achieve, but keeping them realistic is key. If you get too grandiose and ambitious, you're going to fail. And that's the problem with a lot of resolutions. People make these grand, life-changing resolutions and they don't last because they just can't be maintained. And like any big project, you break it down into smaller chunks. You break it down into manageable sections and you work stage by stage rather than trying to do the whole thing in one go. So my resolutions are always about achievable goals, and that's basically the key to any resolution. Setting yourself a reasonable goal that can be achieved, but still stretches you. It needs to challenge you, otherwise there's absolutely no point. There's no point picking something that you're going to achieve without thinking about it. You need to actually pick an objective that is going to stretch you, but not too much, because you want to make sure that it's achievable at the end. You want that high you're going to get from achieving that result, and then when you've achieved that result, and be immediately ready to impose a new objective a little bit further along the line for yourself. Breaking that larger life-changing resolution down into manageable chunks. And as far as wargaming is concerned, it's a lifelong hobby. There's some big objectives out there, but what you do is you break it down into chunks, and then you can manage that and you can achieve that. That's how I've always tackled my New Year's resolutions, and I hope that that's something that you find useful when thinking about your own resolutions. Don't go bonkers, keep it realistic. So very brief hobby update really. Not a lot has happened, it has to be said. It's been the Christmas week. I've been off work. I obviously spent a lot of time with the family. I've been trying to catch up on a bit of reading, listening to podcasts, but really I haven't done much, apart from I did play a game this week. I did a solo game, which I wrote up as a blog post, because as I mentioned earlier, I didn't film it. As with every other household in the country, having guests around meant tidying up, and tidying up basically meant hide it, and most of that hidden stuff ended up in here. So this room was a bit full for a few days, and so when it came time to actually setting up and playing a game on my games table, and I took all my usual junk off the table, there just wasn't room for a tripod in here, and I decided I was biting off more than I could chew, and I just wanted to play a game and enjoy myself. So I did just that. I played a cut down version of the Bosworth game that I want to play, because my table is a little bit smaller than a regular size table, but I had a really exciting game with an outcome that surprised me. If you want to know more, I have written up a big blog post about it, and again I'll put a link in the description below, so head over to my blog and have a look at some pictures and my full write-up of the game. So as for a Workbench update, I actually haven't done hardly any painting so far this week. I'm filming this on Thursday, so several days ahead of the end of the week. So hopefully by Sunday, by the time this video actually goes out, I will have got some more painting done. But as I'm sure you can appreciate, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, it's all about family. I haven't actually had a lot of time to get on, and then the game that I arranged, so I actually haven't had a lot of time for painting. So again, I've got some models on the table ready for my next entry in the painting challenge, but I haven't actually put any paint on anything yet. I got my initial entry to the painting challenge done, my usual Christmas figure, so that was done and submitted Christmas Eve, and I haven't, no paint has hit models since, but hopefully tomorrow I'll have a little bit more time and I can actually start tinkering away and getting a little bit of painting done over the weekend. So I say by the time this video goes out on Sunday, hopefully I'll have something to paint, and I'll talk a bit more about what I've actually managed to get painted in next week's video. So that's it for this week. I'm trying to keep it short. As I've said before, in years before, I hope you all have a wonderful new year, and I hope that 2024 brings success in your hobby and in your real life. Obviously I thank you to everyone that has followed this channel over the last year, new subscribers and old stalwarts. Thank you so much. It's always enjoyable to read your comments. That's one of the highlights of doing this channel. One of the things that keeps me going is reading your comments and joining in that conversation. I've learned so much from the viewers of the channel in the couple of years since I've been doing it, all I can say is I'm really looking forward to what 2024 might bring. So that's it for this week. As always, please leave your comments and feedback in the comment section below. So and if you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share, and of course if you want to keep up to date with weekly videos from this channel, please tap the bell notification icon. So until next week, look after yourself, keep gaming, and of course keep rolling high.